Everyone, today we're going to be focusing on citation with evidence. The evidence in a body paragraph is the text that supports your assertions, which support your topic sentence, which support the thesis. So it can come in a variety of ways: a direct quote, a paraphrase, or a summary, but for today we're just going to be focusing on direct quote. Some vocabulary to remember is direct quote, MLA and text citation, adding or omitting, block quotation, quote lead-in. We won't get to all of this vocabulary today, but it's good to look over it. So just a reminder, this is what the body paragraph tree looks like, and we are focusing on the leaves today, which stem from the branches. So making the connection. As you narrow the focus in your body paragraph, keep in mind the needs of your audience. The direct quote that you choose for your citation with evidence needs to clearly support the preceding parts of the body paragraph. So let's see how this shapes up. Choosing the evidence. So we're going to use my writing from before and just an overview. We have a thesis statement about the Nightmare on Elm Street, talking about a dreadful mood, and we're going to be focusing on ground one. So body paragraph one is going to be about the disempowering setting. So my sample topic sentence is just a rephrasing, restructuring, narrowing of the thesis. Targeting ground one, A Nightmare on Elm Street's paralyzing dream world creates a frightful atmosphere in this monumental horror film. Moving to my assertion, in the opening scene, Tina Gray is stalked by Freddy Krueger in her school's boiler room. The dark, foreboding setting disorients her as she tries to escape. She awakens visibly upset but unharmed. So working off my writing before, I will now go to the text of the film and look for a quote that logically stems from the assertion. So here we have evidence option one. Suddenly, Tina's tiny figure running among a huge boilers, steam pipes, and catwalks, a shadowed forest of iron and stone. She stops, listening intently as the sound of tiny hooves suddenly turns into the rattle of distant rain. The long curved finger blades suddenly punched through, flashing in the firelight, and began ripping through the thick fabric, as easily as scalpels through flesh. They make a hideous, extended, ripping sound. Tina opens her mouth to scream, but only a dry yellow dust pours out. And at that precise moment, a huge, shadowy man with a grimy red and yellow sweater and a weird hat pulled over his scarred face lunges at her. And it's his fingers that are tipped with the long blades of steel, glinting in the bony light, and giving the Hulk the look of an outer-worldly predator. So, evidence option one focuses on the boiler room, which is the setting. Evidence option two focuses on the antagonist, which is Freddy Krueger. And evidence option three focuses on the conflict, the confrontation between Tina and Freddy. So option one is the correct choice because it correlates with the assertion. So how do we put this all together? So for this part of the video, and we're going to go to a Google Doc. So let's take a look. But first, we're going to take a look at the Purdue Online Writing Lab. And this link is in the overview presentation, and I'll put the link in the comment section of this YouTube video. But this is real easy to get to. You just Google Al Purdue Online Writing Lab. So here are just some basic MLA in text citation. So we're going to be using the author page style. So we present the quote, and then the author's name, and then the page number it came from. So you can take a more in-depth look at this during class, but we'll take a look at how this is done in the paper. So here we have our paper set up in MOA format. We have our running header, our heading. We have our title, center aligned. So we're going to jump right into our thesis statement. It's right here. Now, usually we would have like an introduction paragraph prior to this, but we didn't write that yet. So for our purposes, we're just going to have our thesis statement right here. And then we're going to jump into our topic sentence. This is our first body paragraph. We've seen this before. And remember, I color coded my assertion. So anything that's objective, summary, is in blue, and anything that is subjective, which is my assertion, is in red. So then we have our 3 quotes. Now we already decided that we are going to use quote 1. So what do? First thing you do is you want to put this in quotation marks. So then we're going to bring this up and we're going to run it right behind the assertion. And if we're using the basic rules, excuse this ad right here, we're going to be using the author's last name and then the page number. Luckily, all these quotes come from page 3 of the screenplay. So I'm going to go ahead and put his name in there, Wes Craven, 3. Now, because this quote is under, is 4 typed lines or under, we're going to take this period and we're going to delete it. And we're going to slide it to the outside. The only time that you wouldn't do that is if it was a question mark or an exclamation point. Luckily, it's a period, so we're just going to take it, delete it, slide it to the outside. Cool. Now, let's talk about a quote lead-in. So I'm going to read through this, and I get to my assertion, and I notice that she awakens, visibly upset but unharmed. But that part of the assertion does not flow well into this quote. So, writing is not permanent, so I'm actually just going to delete this. Because then this assertion flows very nicely into this. So there's a few things I can do. I could write, Wes Craven describes in his screenplay, because that's where this came from. Put a comma right there. But to be honest with you, I don't need to be that direct. I might just be able to run right into it. Or I can maybe say something like this. Tina's plight is described. Suddenly, Tina's a tiny figure running among huge boilers, steam pipes, catwalks. Now, if I were to use Wes Craven's name prior to this, maybe something like director Wes Craven. Like that. Maybe I'll say something like describes Tina's plight. Oops, sorry about that. All right. Then I don't need Wes Craven's name. I don't need his last name here, and I can just write 3. So that's always an option as well. While we have this real long quote here, let me show you guys what it looks like to do a block quotation. So let's pretend that we're using that third quote. And if we were going to put that in there, we would take it, copy it, and bring it up here. Now, when we do this, notice Notice how many lines are present. There's one right here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at this point, we're going to use a block quotation, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do this. So we are going to remove the quotation marks. The period goes back. The period at the end gets deleted. I'm going to put my cursor right here. I'm going to hit enter. Now notice how it's indented. I'm going to put my cursor on the second line and I'm going to press tab. It's going to shoot my cursor up here and then I'm going to hit backspace. And then when I go to continue with my paragraph, I'm going to start back here. There you go. But we're not using this quote, so we would just use the regular in-text citation format. Well, hey, thanks for joining in today, guys. Hopefully, that was beneficial to you. And if you have any questions, just reach out. Thanks and have a great day.